Zero Waste, Another Perspective. Hi, my name is Panganiban, and I'm here to talk to you about why people choose not to go zero waste. We all know the world is facing an incredibly large amount of pollution, and that many environmentalists are pondering ways to solve the problem. Some proposed more recycling, while others suggested fewer fossil fuels and producing less plastic. In December of 2000, a new solution emerged, not producing any waste at all. The term zero waste soon became popular online and on social media among environmental activists. It sounded simple enough. Waste causes pollution, and if people stopped producing waste, then there would not be any pollution. Many who were new to the zero waste lifestyle began trying to achieve fitting 1 year's worth of trash into a small mason jar. However, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let me explain why. Zero waste is both expensive and time-consuming. Although many people care about the environment, going zero waste does require a lot of time and money to find alternatives that fit the lifestyle. These are two things that are important to a lot of people, and they're also two things many can't afford to lose. Blogger Vanera Aaron points out why going zero waste is both more time-consuming and expensive in her post, Why I'll Never Be Zero Waste. She says that while some cities have lots of stores that sell in bulk with easy access to zero waste products, not having one in your neighborhood often means carrying tons of glass jars and big bags on the bus and train, which isn't possible for everyone. And for those who don't live nearby bulk stores, they have to spend extra time finding products that are zero waste friendly. This often means traveling far to find products, which isn't a realistic lifestyle for most. A majority of people already spend a lot of time commuting, whether it's driving to work or driving to school. Having to spend extra time going to a bulk store routinely can cause the amount of money spent on gas or public transportation to build up. Spending a lot of time commuting is something that is also very inconvenient for the consumer, which leads me to my second point. Going zero waste is inconvenient, not only for the consumer, but also for the companies. Tara Conway addresses this issue in her letter to the Outline, where she explains that the effort to reduce plastic waste when packaging food, such as produce, has caused tension because compared to its simple plastic counterpart, the virtuous glass bottle requires much more packaging to not break in transit. There are many reasons why companies use plastic to make their products or to ship them. However, many people who are zero waste argue that that glass is better because it's reusable and more sustainable compared to plastic. While both statements are true, there's a small detail missing. Glass is fragile. Because of this, more packaging is required to make sure the containers don't break in transit before being delivered. Extra packaging also means extra waste, and extra waste means more possible harm done to the environment. This causes somewhat of a domino effect. Glass containers cost more and require more packaging to ensure it does not break, which leads companies to charge more for the product due to the extra cost. And with the case of having extra packaging being thrown into the landfills, it also means that there's a higher chance of that plastic packaging ending up in the ocean and harming the marine life. Not only that, but going zero waste involves having to DIY a lot of one's products because of the waste generated by the packaging. Having to DIY your own products takes up a lot of time that most people don't have. It's already enough to balance a job and other things in life, and while things like DIY deodorant are definitely doable, the reality is that making everything can take a lot of time that most people don't always have. It's simply not a realistic lifestyle to have to worry about other more important priorities in life, alongside DIYing one's products and worrying if the DIY was done right or if it looks like the one shown in the tutorial online. This leads me to my third point, pressure, and how zero waste can cause pressure. Expectations are often not the reality, especially in the digital age, where people's lives on social media are meticulously crafted to look perfect. Social media, for better or for worse, has a huge effect on many lives. In her TED Talk, How I Failed at Zero Waste, Sarah Heinzen, a user experience designer and aspiring minimalist, spoke about her experience. Heinzen points out that social media influencers who seem to do it all perfectly and produce 1 glass of waste per year do not help to keep the pressure low. She discusses how seeing other people on social media who seem to be perfectly zero waste created a lot of pressure to do better. She felt like certain standards needed to be met, in order for her to be zero waste, such as fitting 1 year's worth of trash in a tiny mason jar. Well, I would like to make it clear that while social media can have a positive impact and posts about going zero waste aren't a bad thing because they can be good in giving tips, hacks, and recommendations to other people, social media still does have a negative effect on how people feel about themselves. This pressure can harm a person's mental health. Heinzen goes on to explain that over time, she was caught up in the never-ending search for new alternatives while not producing any waste became an overwhelming goal she felt that she would never achieve. She goes on to say that she felt bad to the point that the pressure of constantly failing became a daily companion in her life. From not being able to get to the bulks fair when they were open to not being able to stick to the zero waste principles. She said that these activities became a reminder of how much I was failing not to produce any waste at all. The feeling of constantly failing can cause a lot of stress and can have negative effects on a person, such as low self-esteem and low self-efficacy. Zero waste influencers make going zero waste look so easy, maybe because it has been a trend in society to not show any difficulties, hardships, or failures on social media for things to look perfect. Maybe if zero waste influencers showed all the sides of going zero waste, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it could help to change that stigma. While going zero waste seems like an easy and simple solution, it's much more complicated than it sounds. While it's a great way for people to make a difference by setting an example, the problem of pollution is too large to be impacted by a few people going zero waste. And it isn't possible for everyone, due to how time-consuming and inconvenient it can be. Instead of this, it would be more effective to petition the government, whether it be local or national, to see how they are addressing pollution and pushing for them to reform the system. A student journalist at James Madison University points out that the effect of public pressure can create real results and can address the systemic problems of plastic pollution in a way reconfiguring one person's life simply can't. This can help because it addresses the problems within the system and causes long-term reform. Contacting the government and finding ways to support changing and improving the system is much more effective in the long term because it holds them accountable and puts less responsibility on the consumer. Another good solution is to spread awareness through posters and social media. Using posters and documenting this process through vlogs, aka video blogs, on YouTube to help spread awareness. This will help to create a place where people can talk about the different tips they have on cutting out plastic from their lives. Using Instagram to spread awareness to this issue will also help reach many preteens and teenagers, which will also help to inform them about what is going on with the environment, since many teenagers don't hear about it. This is a worthwhile solution because while it helps to reach a greater audience of people, especially teenagers, it also helps to spread awareness about what is going on. Showing others that small conscientious choices, such as not using single-use plastic utensils when dining out or bringing your own container to pack leftovers from restaurants, is a way of showing that people don't need to give up all plastic or not produce any waste to help the environment. In the end, being able to find a solution to plastic pollution and to pollution in general is much more complicated than simply eliminating all trash from one's life. A solution to pollution should be one that does not require a lot of time or money for the individual person. This way, everyone can help to save the environment. Going zero waste is inconvenient for many people, making it both time-consuming and expensive. Not only that, but it creates a lot of pressure to do it perfectly because of what is seen on social media. Finding a solution will take a lot of time, perhaps many years. But for now, being cognizant of how one's choices are affecting the environment and making small, conscientious decisions should be sufficient. And that was my TED Talk. Thank you.